Hello, let's talk about Lesson 2 and the projects you're going to do this week. Notice the comment at the top that a lot of what you're going to be doing this week is based out of the data validation tool. And there are different options you have in the first tab of that tool, and then you have the option of adding input messages for your user and giving your user helpful error messages as well. Because the default error message when your user types in something that doesn't look good is just a very basic error message that doesn't tell the user what they did wrong. So you can tailor the error message to something more helpful like, "Hey idiot, I told you to enter a number less than 100." You may want to tailor your language a little bit, but definitely tell your user what they did wrong. Okay, so read this top part up here on what we're trying to do in this entire lesson. And then at the top is a summary. You're going to be doing a memo, and then you're going to be doing a short, brief Excel file based on the memo, and then you get to do a larger file, an invoice. Okay, so let's talk about the memo first. The true point of the memo is to get you started thinking about these particular checks or validations that are used and why are they used. In other words, what errors would they limit? What errors would they stop from happening, either on purpose or accidental typing errors? And so each one of these is a control that we can put in place, and you can click on this link to see one website's explanation of what these controls are. You can certainly go do some Googles as well. If you do go to the Google and do type in one of these, you need to also add a little bit more like data validation limit check or something like that, because if you just type limit check, you're going to get way more crap than you want. So you need to help Google narrow down kind of what you're trying to talk about. So data validation range check, you'll get much better results. But again, there is a link here as well to flashcards. What I'm looking for in this memo that you write to your boss, is have you, first of all, visually, in a nice way, don't give them solid paragraphs of material to read. They're probably not going to read it. Give them something that's eye-appealing, short, brief, maybe set it up like a table, maybe bullet points, something so it helps the eye catch each one of these. And then you need to convince the boss why they should care. So give them some examples of, for example, this limit check would stop, and give them a concrete example in their business of what it might stop. Now you can make this up because you don't know what company you're working in, but make up an example of our employees have to type X in this box, and we're seeing some issues where they miskey and add an extra zero or something. And so let's put in a limit check because it would stop our employees from doing this. Okay, so make up a scenario for your business. And the point is that you want your boss to understand what the issue is, there's a problem, and then what the fix is. Here's the control that would stop that from happening. Okay, so that's the memo. Here's a little bit of a grading rubric, what I'm looking for again in that memo, and then a link to the Dropbox. Then you are going to open an Excel file, open a blank Excel file, create an example of each one of them. So pretty basic Excel file. In column A, you're going to type the name of the control. So your first one would be the limit check. So type limit check in. In column B, a description of what you're trying to do. So for example, a limit check might be numbers less than 100. We have an upper limit. And so tell me that, and this won't take more than 100, because Somebody else might say it won't take more than 500 or 10,000, whatever the number is. Let me know what your check is because I'm going to try to break it. And so that helps me know what you were intending it to do so I can see if it actually does it. And then in column C, you actually put the control in using data validation. And then I'm going to type a number in that same cell and see if your control works. Here again is a description of how it's going to be graded. I changed some of the points on these, so I will go in and after I do this recording and make sure I updated the points between each group. Then finally, you do a larger practical application of all this by creating an invoice. And so you pretend that you are the accountant for Aaliyah's Senior Living Supplies, and she does not have a formal bookkeeping system to do invoices, so you're going to help create something in Excel. So open a blank document and create a blank invoice. I have by bullet point here some of the things that your invoice needs to be able to do. So you might want to print that out and read the whole thing first, and then keeping those ideas in mind, kind of design your invoice. It may be worth kind of designing it on paper first before you hop into Excel. That's up to you. Down here are the products that Aaliyah's Senior Living sells and the price per unit. And then finally down here are shipping information. Based on the number of items shipped, the price changes. I had to do it based on the number of items shipped. You know that in real life a lot of times it's you know, spend X number of dollars and get free shipping. Sometimes you get that. If not, it's based on the weight. They keep bumping up shipping. To keep things simple here, we did it based on the number of items shipped. And I will go make sure I updated these points accordingly. This says 3,000 and I think the max now is at 2,100. I dropped the points. So after this recording, I'll go in and make sure I update my points. To give you a couple examples of an invoice, I think I'll do this one first. So here is one person's example of an invoice. You can see when you're clicked in here, there's an input message kind of telling the user what to do here. Make sure you give the user enough space to type in something big like a name or a street address. Visually cue your writer in to where, you know, for here it says name over here, so I kind of already know I'm going to enter a name over here. Visually giving your reader cues as to where they should type things. Over here for products, there's a drop-down box where they can pick the product and the price automatically updates right there. Spot to enter the quantity and get a total price. So general layout here. Over here is another invoice. This one I wanted you to see that the person went one step further and cleared out the grid line behind here just to visually take out one more thing that the user has to see. Okay. I think that's the biggest, you know, there's still a drop-down box and the price auto-fills, fill in the quantity and the rest of it fills in. You can all see that that's going to be an issue because right now I'm selling something but my grand total doesn't calculate because I have an error message here. So you're going to have to figure out, well, how can I not have that happen, because that's not good, is it? This one, is this one going to work? Yes, this one I get a price coming in at the bottom. So just a couple examples for you to look at as you make your own invoice. There is a token opportunity down here. This one is a bit of a challenge, so if you feel really comfortable in Excel and or like challenges, then this will be a great one. While it is difficult, YouTube is your friend on this one because you really need to get comfortable in keystrokes on your keyboard as well, rather than using your mouse while you're doing this macro. It's a really useful though one. Many people on their final project end up coming back to this one. They would have skipped it earlier in the semester, then realized it was the perfect tool for their issue on their final project, ended up coming back and doing it.